Hey class, I this is the feature article this week for Chemical Engineering News, and I think it's pretty fascinating. I've said this before that we're kind of reaching a new way that we do things, and it's well, even says this article said we're at an inflection point where it comes to our interaction with machines. So, and this one is how artificial intelligence is dreaming up new proteins. So, and the way that this works, and talks about it's kind of like a language. You have a computer and you train it. You give it a bunch of information, and then the computer spits out what it thinks will work. And I mean, that's the idea behind many of these things. Chat GPT, for instance. I mean, and and it's at least in the education community, ChatGPT is becoming a big deal. And on Friday, I'm going to attend a talk, well, virtually, um, and it's going to be about ChatGPT and how that affects chemistry education. And I'm not really worried. Like I know a lot of people, especially English faculty, are worried about this. But I mean, ChatGPT makes mistakes. It just tells you what it thinks you want to hear. So or what it should. It's kind of spitting back what it should hear. And although I do think it's going to change society and change some of the way things go. And I don't know if you've heard of the Turing test before. That's from Alan Turing. The idea is if you can't tell the difference between if you're talking to a computer, if you're talking to a human, then that's the Turing test. Is this a human or is this a computer? And I mean, we're getting there. Like with ChatGPT, I mean, kind of makes you wonder who's behind it. Are you talking to a computer? Or are you talking to a person? So there's other types of AI, and I was just playing around with this. There's image AI, and you can see this is a little messed up. I put chemistry professor. That's a panda, right? And here's what the AI generated. And I mean, I mean, maybe this is the closest. There's some guy. I guess that's what a chemistry professor is supposed to look like, huh? And these pandas, they look a little little warped in the matrix or something like that. But I mean, this is looks like a panda. I don't know what that is. I guess the panda's titrating something, some plant. I don't know. But this one, I just messed around. This is an otter and a top hat. It was pretty straightforward, right? So this is a more simple one, and then it did a good job with this. But something like chemistry professor that's a panda, that's a little more difficult for this AI. So you can see there's we got a long way to go, and this article also mentions that you can't just trust the computer to make all these things, although the computer does a really good job, and we can use it in tandem. And in some of my previous videos, I said it's kind of like long division, right? So with long division, I mean, I know how to do long division. I haven't done it since like the fifth grade, but I know how to do it, and I just use a calculator. Even if I need to do the remainder, I can still use a calculator to do the long division, and then get the truncate off the decimal point, and then subtract, multiply it, subtract that, and then I have the remainder even, right? So I mean, there's little tricks I can use in the calculator that save me lots of time and headache, and also make fewer mistakes, right? I mean, there's a decent chance I would make a mistake when I'm doing long division. Depends on the numbers, of course, but it's this is a way, though, like a calculator has improved our ability to do things. And this is again with AI, in this case proteins. And I mean, the applications for this are huge, right? I mean, like the mRNA vaccines, right? Those are a huge technological breakthrough, with the most notable being the COVID vaccines, right? And I mean, that's a protein, right? Well, at least the mRNA goes and makes the spike, or a mimic of the spike protein on the on the COVID, the SARS COVID 2 virus. So, and I wanted to show you. Oh, here's this one shows how it works. I'm actually on the web page, so I wanted to show you the simulation. Here we go. Here's a simulation, and so this is an example of the output, and then I'll put on here. Here's a protein that the AI generated that was to bind to insulin. So here's an insulin molecule and binds. Oh, I'm sorry, it's a receptor. It binds to the insulin receptor. So you can see here that this molecule then binds to that. So the AI did a good job, and so we could see new therapies and stuff. But again, this is still, humans are still interacting there. We're not yet at the stage where computers just go and do all the work. So what humans are doing though is they're tweaking it a little bit. So like the AI generates a structure, and then the human looks at it and say, it's a pretty good idea, but maybe this place needs to have a little bit more. And but the computer's doing a lot of the grunt work, right? Just like long division on your calculator. So long division on your calculator, the computer's doing all the grunt work for the for designing for protein design. The machine learning AI is doing taking the amino acid sequence and then generating the shape from that. I mean, we can do that. That's pretty difficult to do, right? I mean, to get a human to do that, that's going to take, probably years of training, and then the human is going to be able to push out maybe, like at most 1 or 2 a day. Probably that's probably very generous. It's probably 1 or 2 a week, right? But then what a computer can do, computer can do 1 or 2 a minute. It depends on the computer speed, of course, and how expensive this process is. But that's amazing, right? This is totally amazing, and it's going to change the way we do science. It's already changing the way we do science. AI is already changing many things. I love the translation programs. It's great. When I travel abroad and I'm in Taiwan and I'm walking around the museums and everything's in Chinese, I can just take Google Lens and put up over the Chinese, and then it translated in English. I can read menus now, and it's great. It's great. It's amazing. It's changed my experience traveling abroad, right? And now it's changing, like I said, the changing the way we do science, and it's changing many things. I don't know if you watch South Park. There's even a South Park on ChatGPT. I thought it was pretty funny. So that was a cute one. But right now, though, AI is not that intelligent. It's only good at what we teach it to do, and we're not at Skynet levels, right? This is not going to be in the world. Our AIs are not that smart. Actually, chemistry, no AI can do chemistry. You can do AI to solve certain types of chemistry problems, right? You can program AI to do things like dilution calculations, right? That's possible. We've had that ability to do that for a long time. I remember using MATLAB and Mathematica to solve equations, right? Does that mean that no one needs to learn calculus now because you can just put the integral into MATLAB and it spits it out for you? No. You still need to learn calculus, right? Same thing with chemistry. And like I said, we don't have the capability to do AI and like general chemistry yet. So maybe in the future we're beginning there, but we're using it for things like research. So, and also, parlor tricks, like I'm showing here, like an otter in a top hat, right? And there's even, there's some talk of people no longer employing fashion models because they want to use AI models for that. That's interesting. That's a cost savings for a lot of companies too. So, right, now they don't have to pay their models. They can just, have AI computer generated models. And like models as in like modeling clothing. When you say model, I usually mean like they have the model protein here. So I'm using both terms, models. But anyways, so I thought this was a cool article, and like I said, it was the cover story this week. So I thought I'd share it with you. And I right now, mental health is big also in education. I mean, well, everywhere, everyone's suffering. So if you are having any mental health issues, please let me know. I can connect you to campus services, and I can give you a pep talk too if you need that. Pep talk usually involves fuzzy animal pictures, so just watch out. But I mean, anything else, basic needs not being met, uh, any other issues that you're having, please let me know, and I'll do what I can to help. So take care for now, and I know it's a long one, but I was excited about this topic. So aloha.